incoming.
Today we have a special episode of Life After the Party because on the show we have the pleasure of having Wendy, the Kratom lady. Not only is Wendy the creator of the Kratom Danger Awareness website, the Kratom Advocate group on Facebook, she's a huge advocate in the regulation of Kratom and is constantly pursuing legislation. This over-the-counter, highly addictive drug is what I would definitely call a survivor of this awful drug, and we'll get into that as we go on. And it's an honor to have you here for so many reasons, and we welcome you to Life After the Party.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on here, Wendy. It's been a long time coming, huh?
Yeah.
It's been about a year in the making, something like that.
About that.
But, yeah, so about that. We've had a lot of schedule conflicts. You're a very busy person, obviously. You're into the Kratom world as well as I was addicted to it, and I'm just going to give a little brief topic about like what Kratom kind of is. Because as we all know here, all three of us, Kratom's not widely known that well, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, like I told you when we were texting, I didn't know anything about it. Like, I never even heard of it until I met Todd.
Mm-hmm.
And when we started doing this podcast. So,
yeah,
so it's all new to me.
Yeah. So this is a great opportunity because there's a lot of things that I don't, because I just knew how to take it and get high. You know a lot about it, like everything there is to know. But I'll just kind of go into it right here. So for those of who don't really know what Kratom is, and then you can always correct me if I'm wrong, Wendy. Kratom is a herbal substance that can have stimulant or opiate-like effects depending on the dosage. While some use it for pain relief, mood enhancement, or opioid withdrawal, it also carries significant health risks and side effects. So, like Ryan said, we have you, Miss Wendy, here, and why we, maybe there's people on here that want to know why you're personally against Kratom, and could you share some of your experiences knowing what Kratom is and why you're against it? And you have an amazing story.
August 30th, 2020, I lost my son, my only child. He consumed Kratom for about 2.5 years. I'm not going to say the brand on here because the last podcast I did, they bleeped it out anyways. But it is a GMP certified product. He used it for energy. He was a business owner, a dad of 3, custody of his boys, worked a part-time job for insurance for his boys, and somebody told him it was safer than Red Bull. I didn't think nothing of it. He was living with me at the time because he was going through, a divorce and whatnot. So he just drank it like a tea, like you would Red Bull or a cup of coffee or whatever. I didn't really pay much attention to it. As time went on, I'd say maybe 2 years into it, I believe, I noticed some changes, mood, his appetite, weight loss. He had 2 grand mal seizures. The first one I witnessed, and it's something that I'll never undo. It's rough. I come out of a room. I was in the bathroom and I heard him laughing, and I thought, "You still laughing? We just got done joking around." 'Cause like I said, we're ball busters. And so I come out, and he's full blown grand mal seizure, blue,
Wow.
the whole thing. So mom mode went in. Forget about being the nurse; it's just mom mode went in, and did what I had to do. He was safe. I got him breathing, and then I called 911, and they took him to the hospital. But there was no rhyme or reason. The neurologist did all the testing and attributed it to working too many hours. He worked 50, 60 plus hours a week. His diet, sleep. So that's what we thought it was. No. So that Friday before he passed, I think that would be the 28th, I was heading down south to, set up home care for my mom. She had Alzheimer's. And he didn't want me to go. But he needed to take a ride to Rome and get some Kratom. And for some godforsaken reason, I asked if I can go. So I went. So now I found out where he was getting it. Went there, come home. I got ready to leave, and we said our goodbyes. I turned around, looked at him one more time for whatever reason, and he asked me why I was looking at him, and I said, because I can, and I love you, and I left. So we talked, on my way down, and as soon as I got to my mom's, come Sunday, the 30th, I didn't hear from him. I woke up with a really bad headache, and something wasn't right. Something was just off that day. And about 9:15 that night, I got that call that he was dead. He sat down in the recliner to watch TV, and he died. He went to sleep. The medical examiner said that he saw nothing coming. It was like he was sleeping peacefully. He reclined back like this. And that was when my whole world changed. I didn't know it was Kratom. I didn't, finally I headed home the next morning because my mom and stepdad wouldn't let me leave that night. So the medical examiner called me on my way back through, and they said they had all Joe's medical records already. He said, your son was really healthy. There was no reason for him to simply die. He goes, I can speculate because here in New York, if there's an unattended death, their body has to be taken to a secured forensic. And the house is locked down, and I guess there was police presence in every room in my house, outside, out front. And they saw his Kratom cup next to him. And a trooper seen the bag on the kitchen sink. But the medical examiner said, I can't say for sure. We have to do everything. And I gave him permission to take his brain to rule out seizures, aneurysm, tumor. There was nothing, absolutely nothing. So we just waited for the toxicology to come back, and they tested for everything under the sun. He didn't drink. He didn't smoke. He didn't take any medication. He didn't even like Tylenol. Nothing. And that's what it was. He died from accidental mitragynine toxicity. And the medical examiner said he's been seeing too many cases like this. And that's where I am.
Just doing some research on this, a lot of cases. It's very simple. I mean, that they write about in this whenever I was just trying to do some information on here. And I mean, it's just, that shock of that for you had to be just astronomical because, again, he said, he didn't smoke, he didn't drink, he was 30.
38. 38.
Wow. My age.
Healthy.
Same age as him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong. His organs were perfect. There was just nothing wrong. He had nothing in his system but a little bit of undigested food. I think it was lunch. I think they said.
Yeah, that's crazy because the rehabs I've gone to, the 3 of them, they've done, they do blood tests, all that stuff, make sure you're okay. Organs are all right, and everything came back perfect. And my mom, being a 30-year nurse, she's like, I can't understand this. Like, you had to have done some damage, but there's no damage.
You're blessed.
It doesn't come up on drug tests. For a long time it didn't.
Yeah,
no, there's a 10. You have to do a 10 panel. There's a 10 panel.
Yeah, the 6 panel don't work.
No,
yeah,
10 panel.
She was testing him, and she said it wasn't showing up. And when he told me about it, I said, he talked about how horrible it tasted and everything, and I was like, well, why would you do it? Because it doesn't show up on drug tests, So he could go to work. And everything was fine. But I did read, about the fact that people, they were kind of promoting this as like something that gets you off of opiates. Which, and the legislation that you were going through and what you sent us when we were in that three-way call, I heard them in the courtroom talking about what it does to the receptors, and it's the same as like opiates. It's even worse. So the fact that there's no legislation on this is insane. But then I start seeing the numbers, and I saw 1.3 billion in 2019 with a B. And I'm like, well, that's why there's no, legislation's not on it.
No,
when there's that much money involved.
They're predicting by 2032, it'll be, what did I read? $25.56 billion, something to that effect.
Oh my
I'd have to look. Yeah.
See, when I went to the gas station to go get it, now I'm not going to name it, but it was on my way to work. I got real good friends with the guy who owned it. His dad owned it. He just worked there, but I would walk in there, and there'd be a long line. People getting it, and somehow we got on the topic of they're not worried about people coming in there to buy gas. They want people to come in. They're not worried about selling gas. They do that to get people to come in to buy the Kratom.
Yeah, that's not their money. They're selling it. Yeah, that's.
All the head shops I would go to, there'd be lines out the door, and it's like, what are you guys selling? Like, what is this magical drug?
So, it really is. And for me to not know much about it, and then starting to read it up, and I read that, so it's like 50 years since it's been brought to the country, because it said that soldiers from
Vietnam,
after the Vietnam War, were bringing it into the country. And then I also heard that, and I don't have this in my notes, but I heard somewhere that that it was. Well, they used it. They were using it for their workers to give them energy or what have you in the field when they were.
Yes.
Makes sense.
And so, but I heard that, when they were trying to sell things as drugs use, that they the opium and the things that they had there, this was nothing. They weren't even thinking about it like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just, it really does amaze that, how everyone seems to talk about it like it's something that is so, it's almost like good for you. And I've heard stories of someone was saying that there was an older lady who had used it for a pain or whatever. And then she came in and said, I can't get off of this. Yeah. I'm having withdrawals from this. And then I started watching some things about other people and the withdrawals they went through. And it just sounds horrendous.
Withdrawals I've been
he said the worst he's ever been. And so, just there's so much that, like I said, I'm 53 years old. I've never heard of it, Now, I haven't drank for 15 years. That was my drug of choice was alcohol. But it just, it blew my mind. And now, of course, after talking to you and just even in the three-way chat, I started researching more and more just because it blows my mind completely. It doesn't seem like there's something like this that it's just over the counter. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
You
like,
can get it anywhere now. I mean,
I would never have done that. It was in our town, our little town that we grew up in, Like,
it just got here.
Yeah.
I used to have to go 30 minutes away to go get it. You know what I mean? I would go almost every day because I would take, I don't know, towards the end it was like 30, 45 pills twice a day just to get that buzz going. You know what I mean?
He was taking 30 to 35 pills. And I saw them. They're like horse pills.
Yeah, they're big.
Yeah, capsules,
like, goodness.
I know.
It tastes like dirt.
After my son passed away,
recently,
I went into a deep depression.
What was that, Wendy?
I said when after my son passed away, I went into a deep depression, and I actually tried Kratom. I tried Kratom myself, thinking, well, it took my son, so he'll take me too. But I threw up.
Right,
I got sick.
I understand.
So,
did you throw up?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's.
I said, how the hell can anybody
really
drink this dirt?
Threw up.
I did.
It looks like dirt. It tastes like dirt.
It's like green sludge.
I've it up hundreds of times and then try to drink it again. You know what I mean? It gets a hold of your soul and it doesn't let go.
No, that's what I'm hearing from hundreds and hundreds of people. And it was, I think he passed away in August and his birthday was that May. And that's when I got this epiphany that I need to save one more person. I need to help one more person. Yeah. And that's when I founded the Kratom Danger Awareness Group. We're almost up to 2,000 people now.
Well, and that is huge. And we say that all the time.
Yeah.
You can help one person.
That's it.
Because, it's so important. And a lot of times, people with addiction at any stage or any drug,
right?
If they just have one person that's like, you need help, and this, and I care. You know what I mean? And that's huge. It really is. And
it is, because I get messages all the time, and I get messages all the time and phone calls that you saved my life. Yeah, I went to the doctors and my liver shot, and I stopped Kratom. I could have died. Right now, I'm in contact with a family in Kentucky. Her son is heavily addicted to the 7-OH tablets.
Okay,
the ones that are just they're bad. They are
they're heavy potent.
Yeah, they're a synthetic from Kratom, and he's going to die. I told him, you're going to die. So I think today is 5 days he went cold turkey. So
that's amazing. I mean, that's hard to do. Go cold turkey with that stuff.
He had no choice.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, they got that feel-free shots too.
Oh, the Kava Kratom.
It's just like a liquid. Yep, it has Kratom in it. I see them all the time at gas stations everywhere.
Oh yeah, I actually, of course, like I don't look in the liquor section, but I saw that there's alcohol that they're going to start
seltzers,
like mixing it together, right?
Yeah,
seltzers.
I've heard of that. Yep.
Yeah, there's seltzers. It
wouldn't surprise me because it's a cash cow.
Well, they make the vape pens? Sure. There's vape pens. There's gummies. There's chocolate bars. There's taffy. There's gum.
Chocolate bars.
You name it, and they're making it. And the little extract things that look like little K-cups.
Wow. Coffee maker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they going to put an age limit to this stuff? I heard maybe they're going to do you have the American 18 or 21 years of older.
You have the American Kratom Association, who's they're promoting and trying to get legislation passed in states for the KCPA, the Kratom Consumer Protection Act, which it doesn't help the consumers to protect them. It's to protect the vendors and the manufacturers. And that's where they put in the age restrictions.
Go figure.
Right. Go figure. Right. That's insane. So really, we're fighting a monster.
Yeah, because they have big bucks. That Mac Haddow is a senior public policy lobbyist. And I butt heads with all of them. I got folders in my email there of threats and go slit your throat, that kind of
I
stuff.
can only imagine.
Oh, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
Sure, because anytime that you're trying to do the right thing, people come against you.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's like the podcast you go on. I'm sure it's not easy to do it. You know what I mean? Because, you know, you got people for it and you got people against it, you know?
Yeah, and, you know, and it's okay to agree to disagree. And I never ever said that it may not help somebody, but there is no science to prove that it's safe. There isn't.
It's not FDA approved.
No, this stuff has been being studied, I think, since 1938, way back.
Wow.
And I know there's a big pharma that's looking into studying for alcohol use disorder, one of the alkaloids in the plant.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's mitragynine, that one.
They can make money off of it.
Yeah.
You know what?
Right.
Big pharma makes money off it.
Right here, there's a pro right here of, and I don't have very many pros at all. They're all cons, but like, you know, there's many reports of kratom effects as effective in managing chronic pain. You know, therapeutic uses. It's, you know, and the thing of it is it's not regular controlled substance, you know, by the FDA, or, you know, they call it a drug of concern. That's what they do.
Yeah, the DEA does. I know in 2016 they tried to schedule it, the DEA, and then, you know, they got so much backlash from the Kratom consumer, the AKA, that they backed off. Well, that was August of 2016, and my son died 4 years later, August of 2020.
Wow.
And I knew nothing about any of that.
So you had no clue he was on it?
Let me ask you.
Yeah.
When he started on it, was it for pain? I mean,
no, for energy.
He had
energy.
Energy.
Working a lot.
Yeah, because he owned his own business. It was septic and plumbing. And then he worked a part-time job for insurance. He did gun parts in this big factory. And that's where he got drug tested, there. And Kratom never showed up.
I was, when I couldn't find my drug of choice, which was the opiate, you know, out there, I would go to Suboxone because it was easy to get, you know, and I knew it was somewhat safe. You couldn't really overdose on it. And when I finally decided to quit, I knew it was going to be a long 30 days because my parents didn't know about it. You know, I still had to work. I was on night shift. And it was one of the worst 30 days of my life. You know what I mean? Trying to go to work, around all that equipment, metal, you know, I was just sicker than a dog. And the day before I started feeling better, because I knew I was starting to get there, like I had just maybe 1 or 2 more days, and then like I would have felt somewhat normal. I was just sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. So I remember hearing about Kratom, and I was like, well, that head shop up there has it. I'm going to go check it out. So I went up there. Everybody was buying it. And there were all kinds of different strands. I mean, uppers, downers, sideways, whatever you want to do, really.
Red, green,
and
yellow,
I asked the guy. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how many strands there are. And I found the one that mimicked opiates perfectly.
Well, that's what you wanted.
Yeah, exactly. And I just was like a mad scientist trying to figure out the right concoction, how much to put in. And then I started feeling it wasn't high at first. It was just, it made me feel like good, like better than good almost. And then when I added more to it, because I'm an addict, I got that high that I was looking for, you know? But the problem is when you want to stop that, I will say it the day I die, it was the worst withdrawals I've ever been through. And you don't know when they're going to stop because there's nothing to look up.
No, I hear that all the time. My son used the green May Dong, whatever they call that one.
Oh yeah, green. What the heck was it called? Green Bali.
No, it's the green Mangda or something to that effect.
Green Mangda Da or something like that.
Yeah.
I forget the names.
And the brand that he uses on him. Huh?
Where are they manufacturing this? I mean, all this stuff that they're making.
Indonesia.
Yeah.
It comes overseas, but there's over thousands. You can go online and check it out. There's some that make it in their bathtub. There's some that does it in their garage, their basement, their kitchen. Yeah, there's a lot of that,
So it's like
pretty much.
And then you got your big manufacturers. There's, some in California. They're all over the place. I know.
Wow.
Massachusetts just had a win.
There's so many.
Yeah. There is. There's just.
I mean, it's
too many to count.
I've walked in stores that have a wall about 10 feet long, maybe 20 feet long, and it's just all down the side, up, down, everywhere.
Yeah, I went into my son's store.
Forms.
Pill, liquid, tinctures. Got the little tinctures too with the eyedropper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went into my son's store about a year or so ago. Pretended I was somebody that had migraines. And I told him that somebody said, Kratom will help. So she's showing me all these different kinds of brands. And I couldn't read anything on the back because you can't see nothing. And I forgot my cheaters. So she goes, well, just Google it.
Just Google it. Yeah.
Google it.
Oh my gosh.
Needless to say, I didn't buy any.
You know what the sad thing is that people would be like, okay, I'll Google it and still take it.
Yeah.
Like that's so, I don't know. It's a ridiculous thing that, because it's over the counter. Look, I say this all the time. If alcohol, like when we were kids, there was a Mr. Yuck sticker on things.
Right.
So alcohol is poison. But since Prohibition, they've been, everything's, if it's legal, then it's okay.
Yeah, and everybody knows what alcohol and cigarettes will do to you.
Right.
They don't with Kratom. It's like I hear all the time, well, water will kill you too. It can.
I hear that too.
Kratom saved my life. If you take it away from me, my blood will be on your hands. And it's like, I just tell them call 1-800 suicide hotline.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of that legislation. You did too. We got to watch a little bit of that. I got towards the end. I think Ryan got a little bit more out of it, but it was wild to see the people who got on there and were pro it. You know what I mean? Like for it. It's like holy heck. You know?
Draycott, Massachusetts just banned it yesterday.
Really?
Yep, it goes in effect 30 days.
They are, yeah.
And there's another Lowell, Massachusetts banned it. And there's another one coming up. I really can't say online because I don't know. It's just another town in Massachusetts. Illinois is going to town. Mississippi, they've got 72, 82 different towns and cities and counties that banned it. Louisiana.
Wow.
I know there's supposed to be a bill coming, this legislation in Mississippi to ban the whole state.
Wow.
So there's hope.
There is hope.
Yeah, there is 6 states right now. Vermont, Wisconsin, Rhode Island. I can't think off the top of my head that it's banned or scheduled. And then there's numerous countries, Germany, Sweden just banned it. Germany's in the process of thinking about it. Yeah, there's all kinds of, and then you hear stuff, from the pro community saying, well, nobody's died over in Indonesia or, over there. Yeah, they have. They're having problems right now with young kids smoking weed and drinking Kratom. And then they're arresting people over there because they're making their Kratom cough syrup cocktails and selling them to tourists over there.
Wow.
But they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that stuff.
No, they do not. No. No one is making that much money.
No,
So I will add this, that when I did go to the rehabs, I think I told Ryan this too, that when they check you in, they all do it all by computer, and they check off what you're in there for, and Kratom's not on that list. It's just not. So I kept on telling them, just pick opiates. And they're like, well, we got to make sure. I'm like, no, that's why I took it, because it made me feel like I was on an opiate. And they had to, go to the doctors, consult them, make sure they got the right plan for you and all that stuff. And it just goes to what you say, that it's not too many people really know how they maybe treat it, maybe know about it. It's just coming around.
More and more rehabs now. Are treating. They're using MAT treatment, Suboxone, Vivitrol.
Okay. I was on Vivitrol.
Rehabs, if they're saying you come in with Kratom, they'll boot you out. There's a woman in my group who's a director of a rehab called Rapid Detox in Michigan, and that's where they put you to sleep for a few days.
I've heard about that they knock you out for 30 days.
For a few days.
How many?
Just for a few days. A few.
Oh, I thought you said 30.
No, just for a few days, so you can go through with withdrawals, and then they'll.
That's different.
Yeah, and they've had great success rate with the Kratom. And then they'll do the Vivitrol and help you get into services, like therapy and whatnot, because you got to find out why your addiction is the issue. Right. But one of my biggest problems is when I hear people using Kratom to come off other opioids. I see and read, they're still on it 10, 15, 20 years later. Why? If you're using it for harm reduction.
Like he was saying, it makes you feel the same way.
Right.
It's a tool. You shouldn't be on it for that long. Maybe a month.
I was on it for 4 years.
Yeah, and they're in denial. I've got stories of people stopping their diabetes medication, their blood pressure medication, blood thinners, because Kratom saved them. And they don't have to rely on big pharma anymore and go to the doctors, because they can get their stuff over the counter. That's sad.
Well, and that's the thing, and I did listen to you on another podcast, and you were saying that you use supplements, and that there were some different supplements that you use. I use different supplements, and it got me thinking about that, though, because you think about, you kind of go word of mouth, and you say, well, I know this is good for you because of this, and my wife's a vegetarian. She doesn't, and so she's like, well, this is good. Are you the same? Yeah. And so it's, every time, and I actually, even more so now, since I learned about this, every time you put something in your body, I know there was a friend of mine who lost his brother, and he used, what was it? It was, oh goodness, they use it for painkillers. They give it to you for dental work. It's really expensive on the street.
Yeah.
But he used it one time, and I'd heard that the doctor said, you can drink alcohol one time, and if your body doesn't agree with it, they can, so, that's what I think about that, because, all these things that aren't regulated now, and I could go down the rabbit hole and be like, wow, there's things that big farmers doing too,
right.
And and believe me, I'm all about that too, but it's just insane, because whenever, when there's no legislation, when there's nothing to say, well, wait a second, let's just think about this for a minute and say, well, let's at least put it in, you have age limits at least.
Yeah, exactly.
Or more education on it before you do anything like that. But, but with the money that's coming off of it, what you just told us, it seems like it's easier to line pockets and get past it.
Yep.
I just met a woman I talked to earlier today. She's going to call me, I think, this weekend. Her ex-husband is a Kratom addict, and he's now a dealer, you want to say, not selling vacuum cleaners there,
Oh,
but
wow.
a dealer for Feel Free. And last year he made $2 million.
Oh, my.
It's like,
$2 million?
yes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It's like, all
That
right.
is insane.
Yeah, and I mean, if everyone's getting, and you think about it, you think as it goes up the ladder,
Yeah.
as far as, with the government and everything else. I mean, those pockets are getting lined all the way up. So,
Yep.
Yeah, they are, because like I keep saying, you follow the money.
Yeah, exactly.
It's everything. You follow the money, you're going to find where the bad is.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, it's,
But
I mean,
we're getting,
it's
we're making our voices heard. Legislation's listening to us. We're submitting our stories. I get feedback all the time from legislators. They'll email me back, and they agree. It's just hard.
yeah.
I'm sure.
Money
It
talks,
really is.
bullshit walks.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you don't have the money to, like, no matter, how big a group that pulls together, for the legislation, you're never going to have the money that they have to push back against you. And that's,
No,
but the good thing is,
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said,
I was going
moms.
to say the good thing is that there's so many states that are starting to pick up on this and ban it, and countries as well. So that's like I said earlier, that's hope. And so it's wonderful to have hope. All you need is a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
Yes, they listen to the moms that lost their children. Many of us have lawsuits, and we get it thrown in our faces that we're doing it for the money. I could give two shits about the money. It's accountability.
Right.
I can tell.
They took my son away and
Right.
took him away from his three boys. So he's missing all the milestones. Like my oldest grandson's got his own home and just started his own business. My middle grandson's in the
wow.
Marines. And I have a 9-year-old grandson that's moving up, and it's terrible.
Now, I know you said your son had custody of them. Did you?
Yes.
Did you have custody after?
No, because when he passed away, my oldest one was living on his own, and then the middle one was living with his mom, back to his mom. So he's he's gone now. He's in Japan. He's recruited there. And then the youngest one obviously is with his mom.
Okay. Yeah, that's gotta be hard. I know I put my mom through a lot just by, getting away with what I did, from passing the drug test when she had no idea how. Clearly I was out of my mind. You could tell. I could see pictures, pictures of I looked like I was on opiates when it wasn't showing up. And I thought I was just cheating the system, and having fun. And it gets real quick, you start realizing that it's if you want to get off this, it's not going to be a picnic at all.
No, I've never seen anything.
I wouldn't even start it.
I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. And, it wasn't until I was doing my son's memory board for his funeral that I noticed the skin color. He was gray.
Yeah.
It's like, how did I not see that? He was living with me.
Right.
Well, it's just, you know what, though? It's just like anything else. When you see someone every day,
yeah,
you don't notice, you just don't notice things because you're not looking for that. Why
no,
would you look
you're
for that?
not.
Because, and so, that's nothing to beat yourself up over. Because,
no, it really isn't. No,
it's not. I have some guilt, what if I was there and didn't go to my mom's? Could I have saved him?
Oh, the what ifs are,
yeah. The medical examiner said no. They didn't even try Narcaning him because there was no evidence.
You're doing such a good job right now. What you're doing, you're saving lives. You're really trying to do your best to either get this, either bills passed or whatever the government does to help this out, this cause. I mean, people are dying and they're just kind of sweeping underneath the rug. I just don't get it.
Like I tell my members, one brick at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you said your son was turning gray. I got fat.
Oh, not my son.
I got really fat.
My son, and I didn't notice that either until way after the fact that he lost a lot of weight. He was almost 6 foot tall.
Really?
And when they weighed him,
I'd read that you lose a lot of weight.
When they weighed him at autopsy,
I wasn't eating all day.
He was 157 pounds.
How many pills were you taking? 45?
Yeah.
He was taking 45 pills a day, so that's why he gained weight, because
all them pills.
He's flooding his stomach. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, there for a while, it was like a ritual, really. I had to give myself 30 minutes to do it. And it was like I had to do it, and I had to take half and then chill for a second because I was going to throw it back up, and then take the other half, and hopefully it went all down. You know what I mean? But I was so sick in the head. If I ended up throwing them back out, I would count how many I threw up and try to take that much, replace them so I wouldn't waste it. It got to the point where I was just totally insane. And you don't think about that stuff. You're just living for that moment, for that high. Even though it only lasts a couple hours, that's good enough. And like you said, treatment centers are now starting to figure it out. What saved me was Suboxone. I went to a Suboxone clinic. I told you that, and they had to figure out what was the right dosage for me.
Well, and that was something too I didn't know. When I heard Suboxone, I just thought that was just heroin. I had no idea that you could treat other things, and the fact they're using it to treat, and you had said that as well. They use it to treat Kratom. So, I mean, that's
a lot of drug addiction doctors are doing it. They're using Suboxone.
The MAP program.
Yeah, the MAP program, and unless the person's going cold turkey, but
it does work.
Yeah, it does. It does work.
If you really do it the right way, it will work. I know a lot of people maybe not do it the right way, and you can stay on it for life if you want to. But I told myself, this is the year I'm getting off of it. I'm down to 2. I started out with 4 pills once a day. I'm down to 2, and God willing, I'm going to be off of it completely this year. By the end of the year.
You will do it.
And then, I hope so, because you don't want to take it forever.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I mean, and it is good that you're stepping down from that.
Yeah.
He's from the time I've met him, because we didn't know each other before we started doing this podcast. So from the time I've met him, it like the clarity that he's had, and that his faith has built up as well. And there's just some really good things, positive things that I see happening. And him, I call him little brother, but
right.
It's it's great to see, you know what I mean? And like we said earlier, if it's one person, and I mean,
right,
this podcast helped him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Helped sobriety. So,
you guys are helping many. You guys are helping many.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
I said you guys are helping many.
Thank you. We appreciate that. We hope.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I think that we talk about it all the time, that there's such a taboo about everything,
right?
That a lot of people don't want to talk about it. And I understand. I mean, believe me, I understand.
Oh yeah, the stigma with addiction.
You don't want to.
Oh yeah. That's what keeps people quiet.
And it's funny, ironic that the more that I delve into all these different things, there's so many people that may be using something, and they're like, "What's not a problem?" But if you're using it every day, and you're using it to enhance something or remove something or make yourself feel better, and you have to have it, there's a problem.
Right.
You know, and I think that you know, it's coming to light now more so. Maybe I don't know.
Hopefully,
I just think that people are denial is going to always happen.
yeah.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's people that are using Kratom and they're still drinking alcohol, or they're on. I mean, there's been deaths noted with somebody on Kratom and antidepressants or prescribed antihistamine for allergies, and it just reacted somehow with the Kratom. Or you have those in the other community that are consuming Kratom and doing acid. I can just go down a list. It's like, what are you doing?
And I'm sure that and if there's any reported deaths from those, that they only report that it's the other drug that they're using, right?
Absolutely.
No, they'll list Kratom.
It has anything to do with the Kratom.
Well, the people in that community, they'll always make a comment saying, if they're going to make it known before they die, if they die, it wasn't from Kratom.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if there's other drugs,
something else.
Yeah, if there's other drugs in the system, the medical, depending on the level, you know, most of the medications that people are on are at therapeutic level when they pass.
Oh, okay.
And the Kratom is just out there. I mean, I met a mom whose son passed away. They had 7,500 nanograms in his system when he passed. From his esophagus down to his intestines was completely green. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
Completely green?
Yeah, from his esophagus, inside of his esophagus down to his intestines, green powder. It's like, oh.
Wow.
You know, I thought 2,700, my son had 2,700 nanograms per milliliter, and I thought that was a lot. But then there's been deaths where they've been under 100 nanograms. You know, it's
wow.
It all depends on the person and the chemical, their makeup and genetics, and there's just so much. And the other thing that baffles me is there's more young men dying than women from Kratom.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it was something that was but then again, I did read, I mean, that's like a stimulant, but if it was like a dietary drug, then, you know, maybe more women would be like, oh, it's a...
Right.
Yeah, there's women that are addicted to it and whatnot, but there's deaths, but not as many as the young men.
So do you think that that's something to do with their system? Like,
something. I don't know, because everybody's genetically and metabolically different.
Right.
That's true.
You know, one size don't fix all.
Right.
And that's what I don't understand when they want the regulations of the Kratom and the dosages on the packages and whatnot. How do you know that there's one person that weighs 200 pounds and then there's another person that weighs 100 pounds and you're going to take the same exact dose? You can't.
Right. You can't do that now.
No, because your prescription medications are...
Yeah. My Aware team wanted me, they first went, when I first relapsed with them, it was my IOP team. So I couldn't go to IOP classes because we didn't have any around here, I think. So they put me with Aware, and that's, they're from Cleveland, Ohio, up around there, Independence, Ohio. And I was with them for a full year. And they were very nice people because they dealt with my crap all the time. So I would relapse, like, I think I relapsed like 3 times with them. And by the 3rd time, they're like, we need to figure out a different plan here. Like, can you like microdose down? And, you know, they do all the research for me and they just come up with a plan. And we're like, you can't microdose because we don't know how to microdose this stuff. We don't know what you're taking. You know what I mean? Like, how are you supposed to microdose something like that? You just can't.
Well, like you were saying, I mean, you know, I don't know how much weight, but you're a bigger guy.
Yeah. I'm like 260, yeah.
You know, if you're going by what the package says, you're taking
quadruple, yeah.
Yeah, when people taper down,
everybody has their...
exactly. You know, they'll taper down and, you know, if they're doing 14 grams a day, they'll start out with 14 grams, and then in a week, they'll go down 2 grams, and then wait 2 weeks, and they'll go like that. Slower is better.
Yeah.
From what I'm seeing. I mean, I have a guy in my group that is well over a year being kratom free. And he tapered.
Wow.
Yeah, he's doing really, really good.
That's smart.
He has some, I don't know why, I don't want to call him psychological, but he's noticing difference with his brain chemistry.
Yeah.
It's off.
Yeah.
He don't know if he'll ever get that back. And that's from kratom.
Wow. How long was he on it for? Do you know?
A while. A long while.
A while?
Yeah, I forget how many years.
Wow.
And the relapse for kratom is just right up there,
It is. It's huge.
Well,
Yeah.
it's just like, and I'll say this, and I'm not, it's the only thing that I have a comparison to, but it's like alcohol. If you're driving past a gas station and you say, well, you know what, I'm just going to grab, well,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're driving past a gas station and there's kratom there,
It's
I'm
easy.
going to go grab it.
Yeah.
If you're having a bad day or whatever, I mean,
Yeah, that's what I blamed it on. Hey,
Yeah, and it's
sometimes I would tell myself I'm going straight home, and I would have to call my mom or my sponsor, and I found ways to do it and still do that. You know what I mean? Like I thought I would just like black out, and I'd end up at the store. Like, how the hell did I get here? Well, I'm here. Might as well go in and get it. It's easy to do it, just like beer.
it's too accessible.
That's why it's so important.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's so important that legislation, because
Yeah, you're not going to.
then you can taper that off.
Right.
where it will help so many people, I mean, that's the,
I still say
That's the hope.
one day Big Pharma is going to find something to use it for, one of the alkaloids for opioid use disorder, which, okay,
Yeah.
if that's what it's going to take to get it scheduled across the board, then I'm good with that. But
Right.
the FDA did dose finding studies. I don't think they're going to come out until September. But they did a dose finding study. I think they had 40 or 47 participants, and they tolerated the dosage.
Oh, wow.
I think they went up to 20, but that's just a small group. And that's not
Yeah,
your
that's a very
average
small group.
Yeah, and it's not your average dose that people are taking.
Right.
I've heard
So it's not a proper study.
No.
no.
They're just doing it.
And I know somebody in the pro community that says they only take a teaspoon a day. Well, I say I beg to differ. No, you don't. Mm-mm.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they say a teaspoon is probably more than, a couple of them.
Yeah.
Everybody says I did that all the time. I would say I'm just taking a little bit, but here I'm taking the right amount to get me to where I need to be.
Right.
Just to back people off my butt.
And it wasn't, like doing all my research and stuff after my son died, that I go back and look. He was really dependent on it. I mean, he used my car a few times, instead of taking his truck, and I found spoons in my car, mixing it in his glass. And it's like,
wow.
what the? Yeah, so that was a problem, and I didn't see it. It's not like he hid it, because he didn't. He just mixed it, drank it, and
because there was no reason to hide it, because it was
legal
in his mind. I'm sure,
right?
It wasn't something that it's legal.
Exactly.
No, because I could tell you that if he knew it was going to kill him, he would have never touched it.
Oh,
he would have never touched it.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, that they don't say that. They say it's a safe substance to take, and it's just a mood enhancer. They don't tell you the warnings of it.
No, natural supplement.
Until you go. Right, natural. Yeah, exactly. That's
safe,
where they
natural
get from.
supplement. Yeah. But then they put on the back of the packages, not for human consumption.
Right,
Now,
exactly.
It said that on the back.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, a lot of them have said not for human consumption. Well, the thing is, the FDA has an import alert, the 5415 import alert. So when this stuff is not supposed to come into the country, but they sneak it in saying it's fertilizer or for study or incense, soaps, whatever. And that's how they get it in. But there's been some that have been snagged. There's been some that's been snagged. Millions and millions of dollars worth. I mean, I know a couple years ago, it's illegal in Hong Kong, and they were trying to bring it in on a ship through Hong Kong. They nailed them.
Wow.
No, Kratom's not allowed in Hong Kong or a lot of them countries.
I could see that.
And
yeah.
you know what is what's ironic about that is there are so many countries. Like my wife, we have a school in Africa, so she goes to Africa. And and I'm not trivializing this by any means, but they won't allow like red dye, yellow
right.
dye. They won't allow a lot of these things in their country, but we do because Big Pharma.
Exactly.
Like, of course, you're going to get sick. We'll treat you with this, but so I mean, we should take a page out of the book of these other countries that are stopping it. Hong Kong. I mean, this comes from an Asian country, so they know how bad it is. You know what I mean? So. I think we take a page out of that book. Apparently.
I know the World Health Organization's getting ready. Next month is their what do they call that? Their control narcotic meeting thing they have from all the countries. All the countries get together, and I believe mitragynines on the list again this time. The last time it was in 2021, and AKA was there, Matt Haddo, in Sweden. He'll be there again this year. And there wasn't enough evidence for them to make it a controlled substance. So, but they're going to keep an eye on it for the next few years. So it'll be interesting to see what they say this time around.
I'd like to see something, happen.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that the numbers continue to increase. So if they're keeping an eye on it, they'd have to see those numbers, right?
The numbers are going up. I think Florida, the Tampa Bay Times did an article, a story a year ago. Just in 1 year, they had almost 600 deaths from Kratom. Wow. Just in Florida.
That's crazy.
1 year.
My mom said that Florida's doing, what was it? A bar down there?
Kratom
bar?
Was talking about that.
Kava Kratom bar.
Kratom bar.
Yeah, they're all over down there. The Kava Kratom bars, they're in New York City. Yeah. My soccer moms like them. Soccer moms go there and drink a cup of Kava or a cup of Kratom.
Of course.
But also in New York City, they closed a lot of them. They shut them down because
really?
Yeah, the Board of Health will shut them down because they're making it a food. Kratom's not a food, so they shut them down. Mm-hmm.
Well, I know that. I mean, and I know that they talk about it. It's a derivative from coffee, but it's not really.
No, it don't taste like it.
No, I'm drinking coffee right now.
Right.
Tastes like crap.
Have they said that though? They've made that comparison that it's
yes, it's like drinking coffee because it comes from the coffee
they try
plant.
to mix them together.
Yeah, it's just drinking a cup of coffee. It's like drinking a Diet Coke.
Right.
Well, I wouldn't drink that either, but anyway.
Right. No way. I'm not that. Yeah.
I drink diet soda, but once in a while. Yeah. Mountain Dew's not good for you either.
I'm a big Mountain Dew guy, too. But, I think we've taken up enough of your time, Wendy. I really, really appreciate you coming on and us, me and Ryan finally getting to do this with you.
Well, and you know what? It's extremely insightful. And I wish we could have you on again.
We are.
You can anytime. Anytime.
And it'd be great to have updates. If you have updates on what the legislation's doing.
Absolutely.
And I mean,
we're going to work with her.
There's a couple thousand that watch us, so maybe if
there's that Wendy
they
again.
Tell two friends and they tell two friends,
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I just think that it could be something.
It'd be good for
definitely.
Yeah, we're located, in the little town in Ohio, one stop light.
I tell you what, though, you know what? I never told you, but years ago, I sold billboards, and there was a customer, and I went in and to sell him a billboard, and he had a winery, which was what I wanted to sell him on, and we had highway boards. There was one available, and he said, they turned me away, and then they called me back. And they said, well, the owner wants to see you. So I went in, and he said, I don't want to do a billboard for my business. I want to do a billboard because my grandson beat it. And it was heroin. And the reason that I bring this up is because it's New Philly area, which is Canton, Ohio, and New Philadelphia. But there's the point right there. It's like the perfect point of where all these different drugs could come in. Yeah, absolutely. It's like just all where the highways meet, and I would have never known that. And like he was all about, trying to get different, and he would go to every trial, every drug person. Oh wow! That they arrested, he was there. And it's been years. I haven't spoken to him in years, but I often think about that. And now that that there was, but it's just, we say we're in a small little town, but it's an area where we got a lot of
Well,
we got a lot
my
of
little town
around here.
Yeah, my little town of Oneida is just loaded. I'm also involved in. I'm an administrator in a Kratom addiction group, and I'm also involved in some other groups with fentanyl. Or appalled, with all drugs. And there's some of us in our group that I got. My son's now on the wall, a wall in New York. Oh, okay. With the frame and how he died and his state and stuff. So it's just just a little bit of everything, because Kratom is a drug. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and plug whatever you want to plug. I'm trying to think. There was something else I was going to say, and I lost it. The train fell off the track. That's how we get all the time. But yeah, I'm involved in that kind of stuff too. But my heart is the Kratom. That's where I want, Yeah. I want it gone. Wanted it gone yesterday.
You know what? I mean, and so I think about this, and I mean, I have faith, and I don't know where you with you. I'm not trying to be a preacher or anything like that, but I do. Things happen, and then the response. You could have had a response where you're like, like you at first you were like, when you tried to take it, you said, if it took him, that can take me, right? But then you saw that you could be a champion for this. And so that's, I mean, I'm so proud of you for that, because, I mean, you could have went the other way, And
it took me, a long while, because I was mad at God for a while. I mean, I'm in grief counseling. Sure, I go to women's groups and do that twice a week. I meditate. It took me a long time not to be angry with him, with God, but he had a plan for my son. Yeah. He had other plans for him. I know a lot of people don't believe in stuff like this, but I'm intuitive. And the day my son was born and held him in my arms, I knew he was going to go before me. Didn't know when or how, but I knew he was going to die before me. So I lived with that forever. I was, kind of strict with him. Just went to his friends, call me when you get there. If you don't, I'm going to knock on the door, that kind of a mother. But a very good kid. He was a good boy. Not perfect by all means. Yeah, exactly. I know God has other plans for him. And this is my journey. This is what God wants me to do.